Morning to Sudhanshu Mittal of the BJP who's joining us, and also joining us is Tom Vadakan of the Congress as well. Now we've heard one voice of Mr. Ali here at Vijay Chowk. Let's also go across to Sudhanshu Mittal now. Mr. Mittal, what are the challenges that the BJP is looking this morning in the House? What is the strategy being chalked? Because as far as the floor of the House is concerned, it's a unanimity amongst the 12 opposition parties to counter the government.
You see, at the end of the day, it is the respective strengths in the House which are going to dominate the politics. So when it comes to the Lok Sabha, given the depleted number the opposition has, it is going to adopt a different strategy. In the Rajya Sabha, where they are in the majority, obviously it's going to be a different strategy. The issue is not what strategy are they going to adopt. The issue is whether they will take a stand which is in consonance with the national aspirations, or would they take a stand which will be reflective of siding with the corrupt and the people with black money. That's the core fundamental. You see, as far as the excuse of inconvenience to people is concerned, yes, there is inconvenience. But it is like whenever there is a childbirth, there are labor pains. There's no denial. For anything of this magnitude, where the nation is correcting an ill which has been there for 70 years. Now, certainly there are going to be inconveniences.
Mr. Mittal, here is also the question. Within your own party, different voices coming. Mr. Mittal, in your own party, there are different voices coming. You heard Subramaniam Swamy saying, knowingly or unknowingly, the government has pushed the country into something resembling the Soviet era. You have Mittal also going on a record today morning and criticizing the government on the demonetization drive. So your house is not in order, sir.
No. Firstly, individual opinions of people are welcome. We are a vibrant democracy where we don't stifle the voice of people. That's not the issue. So in a whole mass of BJP leadership, if there are few who think things could have been done differently, so be it. I mean, I would not look at that from the perspective of you don't have your house in order. We don't certainly stifle the voice of people. What is critical is that this move is perceived to be a move which will benefit the nation enormously. It is a move which is cleaning a system. There is a surgery which has been performed on a cancerous illness like corruption and black money. And for that,
all right,
price
Mr.
is
Mittal,
any.
I want to bring... Okay.
It is beyond political dividends.
Mr. Mittal, I want to also bring... No, but Mr. Mittal, I also want to bring Tom Vadakan and Rajdeep. And Rajdeep, first, over to you.
No, look, I think Mr. Mittal has now defined the way the BJP is going to approach this issue. They are going to dub anyone who criticizes demonetization in any form as part of the coalition of the corrupt. And I think Mr. Mittal and the BJP is hoping that they have struck a chord by calling this a war on black money and thereby particularly getting the urban middle class on its side. The problem at the moment for the BJP is in the execution. Please understand. The fact is that over 24 people have either in some way, according to reports now, been affected by the demonetization in a way that they are no longer with us. Because of hospitals, because of the long queues, there are 24 deaths that have been reported. Mr. Mittal must realize that there is a rural economy that exists beyond the urban middle class, which is hurting at the moment. Now, it may well be that this is a temporary inconvenience, as Mr. Mittal chooses to describe it, like childbirth. But when you talk like that, it some way demonstrates a lack of empathy for the common person. I don't think that the opposition is Mr. Modi's worry. A divided, fractured, discredited opposition is Mr. Modi's biggest asset in parliament and outside. But it is the janta, the people, that Mr. Modi must worry about. Because if public anger builds, if this goes beyond 50 days, if economic activity actually stalls even for a few months, Mr. Modi will have to answer the people. And Mr. Mittal then cannot call it childbirth. A statement like that reflects a lack of empathy. And what is the biggest problem in my view with demonetization is not the idea. The idea may well be appreciated. There are people who would like to see the rich actually having to pay up and give up their black money, but it's the lower middle class, the poorer, the middle class who are standing in queues. Mr. Mittal is not going to stand in a queue. No Neta or Babu is standing in a queue. It's the poor man who's standing in a queue. And they will start asking questions if this goes beyond 50 days. And Mr. Mittal will have to answer those questions, not Mulayam, Mayawati or Mamta.
Absolutely. No VVIPs standing in the queue, Mr. Mittal. No VVIPs standing in the queue, Mr. Mittal. The Prime Minister has asked for 50 days. Everybody... Yes, of course. There is a overwhelming support, even with the lowest category of the people in our society who've said that, yes, we are with the Prime Minister. We want those who are cheating our nation to be punished. But this entire policy should have been thought through. Have you risked politically today? You have Uttar Pradesh polls, you have Punjab polls. Have you risked politically by inconveniencing the Aam Aadmi?
I mean, I do not want to even have a political assessment, because that's not the purpose of this act. If there are fallouts which are contrary to our interests, so be it. So I'm not even looking at from that paradigm. Rajdeep has an observation about us being, not empathizing with the sufferings of people. I think that's unfair. You see, you have to understand that when such an action was taken, there are two critical components. One is the element of secrecy, the other is the element of surprise. A lot of things could have otherwise been done in advance, but that would have compromised both these elements. The element of surprise and the element of secrecy. So subsequent to this, a lot of actions are being taken, and every day, if you look at it, problems of the people are being addressed. So to say that the government does not empathize with people who suffer, no, this is a very, very unfair statement. It is trivializing the monumental effort
the government did not anticipate the scale of the problem. Mr. Mittal, the government did not anticipate the scale of the problem. Do you concede that?
Yes.
Do you concede that the government did not anticipate the scale of the problem?
Rajdeep, Rajdeep, first you must understand that what has happened is an unprecedented act. An act which has no history. An act which does not have benchmarks or evaluations of the consequences. So you cannot anticipate all what can happen, because when you tread on an untreaded territory.
You did have statistics with you. Mr. Mittal, you had statistics with you.
I know, let me finish.
Drive taken in 1978 and 47. You had 86% of currency, which is circulated in 500,000 rupee notes. And while everybody has lauded the Big Bang move, the logistical framework, the implementation, let me also get Tom Bodakkan in, Mr. Mittal, because what we're hearing from the BJP is that it's a great policy. It is a bold move. Nobody is denying that. And no, Mr. Mittal, hold on. Mr. Mittal, hold on. I will give you more time. But let me get Mr. Bodakkan.
I mean, that there are problems which are arising out of it. Has it been denied? Even the Prime Minister was the first one to acknowledge and appeal to people and say, I understand your pain, but please bear with me. Give me those 50 days, which will change the face of Indian economy from an economy controlled by the corrupt and the black money holders to an economy which is transparent and robust. He said that. We've all, and every day measures are being taken to to mitigate the problems of people. There are all these efforts. No denial and no insensitiveness towards all this. Now one picture, is what you want to discredit the entire endeavor. Mr. Vatican, you are welcome to do that, but you have to realize at the ground level, what is the sentiment at the ground level also? You have to appreciate that the people are happy that they who honestly worked were outwitted and, outnumbered by those who were corrupt and who amassed disproportionate wealth. They are happy that these people will now stand to lose their wealth. So let's look at the reality, which is actually your problem.
Let me take this question. Mr. Mittal, to Rajya Sabha MP, to Rajya Sabha MP, Mr. Naik, who's joining us at the morning in here at Vijay Chowk. Mr. Naik.
Let me take this across to Mr. Mittal as well. Now, Mr. Mittal, this is what the Congress is alleging. They're questioning, of course, on the big ticket VVIPs who've been let off, because we've all seen that how Vijay Mallya was able to sneak out of the country, and there as well, the government had a chance to crack down and to ensure that they are dealt with the hard iron hand of the law. And now it's the Aam Aadmi standing in the queue for their money, which is in the bank accounts. Around 86% of cash flow, which India had seen. There's a sudden disruption without a proper planning.
Devina ji, first, it is such a shameful effort on part of the Congress to deviate from the real issue and then try to link it to such extraneous and irrelevant issues to this particular issue. What are we discussing? We are discussing demonetization. Demonetization, which has been necessitated by the presence of corrupt and black money in a huge proportion in the economy. So for the purpose of finishing this cancer, an act has been done by the government. We are discussing, first we must discuss the merit of the act, whether this demonetization serves the purpose of the nation or not. Does it strike at the root of the corrupt or not? Does it strike at the root of black money or not? First is that. So first debate, no, the action is wrong. Then you debate that, well, the action is right, but the implementation is wrong. Instead of talking about these
now,
two
Mr.
things,
Mittal, the fact is that it's not only the Congress. Mr. Mittal, it's not only the Congress.
And I have a reason.
It's not only the Congress or the opposition, it's your own allies. It's party voices that are coming from the BJP. You have Subramaniam Swamy, who's also said that it seems like the proper implementation wasn't thought through. When you have such a big, bold move which is being announced, then why is it that you have serpentine queues still outside the ATMs? Yesterday, you had the indelible ink, which has been announced for exchange of 4,500 notes. Now, we're seeing the progress or the tweaking of norms as and when the days are progressing. But imagine somebody had a cash crunch and wanted to exchange notes. Not everybody has access to even bank accounts, goes to a post office to exchange 4,500 notes. So all 10 fingers of his will be now inked, because the timeline is not given till now by the RBI. Till when can you exchange these notes? And that's just one example which has come to light. There have been many such. You had cash crunch of 2,000 rupee notes, 500 rupee notes. The ATMs earlier could only dispense 100 rupee notes, and there you had multiple van visits by only 8,000 vans servicing 2 lakh ATMs. And in fact, India Today's Rajiv Sardesai had done a ground report on how the Aam Aadmi is being inconvenienced. Have you taken a political risk with this announcements? Your own allies and your own party leaders questioning you.
I would be hoping to be given a chance to address all the issues which you have raised just now. As I said at the very onset, the Prime Minister has acknowledged himself that yes, there will be problems. Because it's a monumental step which has been taken, the magnitude of which have never been witnessed by this country. You mentioned the 1978 demonetization, but let me explain that to you also. In the 1978 demonetization, there was no necessity of depositing the money in the bank, and only then could you withdraw it, and that too in a limited format. You had to go to the counter, make a declaration and change the money. So the purpose of demonetization to curb black money was never accomplished. So you learn out of all those experiences. That is the reason why it is mandatory that the money you have, only a small fraction like 4,000 and now 4,500 can be exchanged over the counter, but otherwise the big money can only be exchanged through the bank account. That is where the strike is. That is where it is hurting most. As far as you were talking about the unity of the opposition and all, let me explain it to you. Unity can only be exhibited where there is a cause. You have just now seen Mamta ji saying, I am going to march to Rashtrapati, and Congress is not joining. She called up, we left, they did not respond. Because unity can only be for a cause and not for the space of opposition leadership. The problem here is there is a space for opposition leadership, and everybody is trying to outdo each other for that. And naturally, everybody wants to protect the turf. So that's the reason why you have a divided polity. But I'm not bothered about that. The polity be united or divided. This is not a move which has been taken to keep political dividends in mind. This is not a move which has been taken to appease any section. It is a move which is for the benefit of this nation. It has addressed a long-awaited solution. A problem which for the last 70 years has been cancerous to the economy of the country, cancerous to the very morale of the country.
The solution needs a better implementation, Mr. Mittal, and that's exactly what the political parties and your own leaders are talking about.
You have to understand, there were two elements. No, there are two elements which are there. The element of surprise and the element of secrecy. A lot of things could have been done if these two elements were compromised.
Now you have Subramaniam Swamy who's saying secrecy is just an excuse as well, which is being used by the government. But here you could have, on that note, ensured a better thought out logistical support implementation. Now let me also get Javed Ansari here. So